Welcome to empathy.co. This is our podcast, your podcast, Humanizing Technology. We ask ourselves, where does technology end? And where do we, humans, begin? Hello and welcome. We have here with us today Lara Menéndez. She's a Product Director at Empathy. And I wanted to start by being completely, as much as one can, honest and frank. Lara and I work together day by day, week by week, month by month, now year by year. It's been 2 years.
Yes, 2 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
Also thought by thought, because we're thinking on the same lines and we are co-religionaries. So it's a bit tricky that I otherwise, if I don't share openly that what we are going to talk about today, which is the future of commerce search, is something that we work and talk and entertain and discuss almost every day. So it's not that I am interviewing, as I've done before, somebody with whom I don't work, and I am discovering and trying to find different and alternative points of view. Is that I am talking to somebody with whom I share a point of view. So with that introduction, Lara, tell us, what do you do in Empathy?
Well, thank you, Angel. Happy to be in this podcast. And well, yeah, in Empathy, I've been 2 years last week. So yeah, I work, of course, together with you, with the goal of building the product of our dreams, let's say. And I work with all the product owners that we have for all the Empathy platform to build together the product. So basically this work of giving them our vision in order to build the product, coordinate all those efforts in order to improve, evolve, innovate, and move forward.
Wonderful. And as part of these activities, the team has been working on this paper that highlights a lot of thinking from many people and great ideas from many people, that is called The Future of Commerce Search. And my first question, and this is what we're talking today, we're talking about the future of commerce search. My first question is about the structure, the format of this research. The paper selects 3 different actors, 3 different points of view, 3 different realities. Tell me a bit more about the structure, the schema of how this research is formed.
Yes, when we started thinking on this, we put together all our thoughts, and so first we thought on the people, because people is our anchor. We want to evoke emotions, and so people is the first anchor, the first pillar. And then everything we build is supported by the technology, and the technology has to evolve. And if we embrace the future of search, technology has to be there. It's important, and also the data. Data it's a main concern. We have to take care on how we manage data, how we use data. So data is also a pillar, and something that and data is something that is changing. So it has to be there too. So those are the 3 pillars, and we started defining those 3 topics: people, technology, and data, and having that base then to move forward and developing each of them.
And a lot is being said about the future of, any technology really, and of course about the future of search, and of course about the future of commerce search. And I of course, what am I going to say? I love this because this is also, I'm part of this, right? And otherwise will be cognitive dissonance. But the way we approach this with a focus on people, and all the stuff that comes our way on trends and where things are heading, etc. It talks a lot about the technology, which of course is important, as you say, and data, which of course is important. But what I like most about this research about the future of commerce search is that it's centered, and it starts and it discusses the people, the individual, and when you center and start talking about the future of commerce search and what does it mean and what changes it provokes on the people, tell me a bit more of what types of people you have defined or roles, and what kind of changes are you foreseeing?
Yes, when we talk about people, we always say that it's not only the end user, the customer that is using the search. It's also the merchandiser, the owner of the search, the analyst, the person that is behind the search, owning the search. No, it's like the other side of the coin. So those are these merchants, and so those are people too, and we want them also we want them to own the search, to orchestrate the search. So we want also to evoke these feelings to provoke these feelings on them. So when we think on people, we think on the end customer using the search and on the merchandiser. And as you have said, now everything is centered in the end customer, in the user, in brands who want to communicate with the end customer, want to build this relationship based on trust. Because now we are moving more and more to this online environment. All brands want to be there in the online world, and not only that, but they want to build this relationship of trust, because competitors are at one click distance in the internet. So they have even a bigger challenge in building this relationship on the online world. So those are the two anchors when we think of people: the ones using the search and the ones owning the search.
And what does it mean for the people using the search in the future? I am a commerce search user, and I'm going to travel in time, and I go into the future. And when I use commerce search in the future from that perspective of an individual who is running a query in the future, what is it going to be different for me?
Yeah, if we think on how everything started, it was like the search was only a search box where you put a word, you make a query, and you get some results. But now it's all about building relationships, and it's all about communicating. We want the customer to get in touch with the brand through the search. As we have said, in the online world, we don't have this shop assistant. So if the customer wants to know something, the customer is going to use the search to ask. So it's about building a search that anticipate customer needs, that a search where the customer feels understood, and where they get what they want to get, and they also enjoy finding what they are looking for. So as I see the evolution of search is as a conversation between the customer and the brand, and in that conversation with the goal of building this relationship. And for that, the search and the brand have to be transparent with the customer, giving them the whys. For example, I'm seeing this because these are my preferences, because I've chosen to share with you my preferences, because I trust you. So giving more text, let's say, more a conversation between the customer and the brand. Like, look at this. These are what we think that you may like. These are the trends. You may be interested in this, but we are presenting this because of this. Are you interested in on that, or do you want this to be different? So we envision the search, I feel, as a conversation in order to build this relationship. No, moving from something that was more a kind of machine and something that is more human, let's say, no.
When I hear you saying a conversation, and probably some people might have make that interpretation as well, I think, is he talking about search as a conversation because people are going to come to the search and ask questions and type what they need and form a complex natural language query? Is that what you mean by a conversation, or is it a different type of conversation? Tell me, what do you understand? Because, of course, when we think of a conversation, we think of something of like psychological, grammatical nature. But when we are on the visuals and the interactions and the images and the clicks and the backs and forwards, and, it's a whole different dynamic, right?
Yes.
It's interesting, and I want to share an anecdote. We did an exhibit once with children, and we gave in an expo that we were sponsoring, and we were giving some rewards. I think we were giving a bicycle, and it was an expo affair for children, and we made a game, and in the game we gave to the children different tablets, and they had to find a product, and the children were using the tablets to find the product, and those who found the product won a bicycle. It's such a cool game. And it was fascinating because the children were clicking on the search box and they were not reading anything. They were only caught and interested in the images, So when the related tags had images, when the next queries had images, when the predictive had images, when there was instant motion and all this richness, they were finding and using that. But all the predictive suggestions of text and all the facets, all that was ignored, That's the future. The future is on an interaction, back and forwards, that conversation, that communication, where I am actually calling it a conversation, but aren't I typing even less?
Yes.
Right? So tell me how you feel about, coming back to the idea that I go to the future and I'm running this search in this place that, as you say, is very honest and is very transparent and is telling me why I see what I see. And I don't feel any creepiness. Everything is frank and fair data play and all this wonderful ethical approach. How does the conversation happen there?
Yes, now everything is moving towards the anticipation. No? So that conversation is based on interactions from both, as we see it, as you have said, these images, this layer presenting the trends, presenting the suggestions, so the customer feels understood in a way that they don't have to type. So because they start the conversation writing, let's say, 3 words, or even using directly the suggestions that we have for them. And so they don't have to type because we anticipate. And then we encourage them to discover more and more, no? So it's a communication, a conversation based on interactions, not helping them, anticipating their needs, and avoiding that they have to type too much and explain too much, because it's like, no, this is what I was thinking on. I'm going to, this is the query I was thinking on, and this is a potential new one that I'm also interested. So that's the way in which the customer can feel understood, because they don't have to explain too much. No?
That's great. I'm loving this. And it brings back the situation with data. And, there is this greediness around what's called intent data or profiling data. There is this belief that the more intent data, the more interaction data I keep and I hold and I own, the more power I'm going to have. And why is that? Because there is this belief that by knowing intent data, by intent data is the chain of actions that somebody follows online, which is a very different story than human intentionality. But the idea is that by knowing the actions that people are doing, I can uncover their choices. And by uncovering their choices, I can manipulate them. And I can use them, hence the notion of user, etc. So in this story that you are telling of the future of search, with this intent data is utilized to create these interactions in the benefit of the user, and you said to make the person feel understood, to exercise intuition, to exercise anticipation. It's a very different conception. And it seems paradoxical that intent data has a different intent, hence the notion of being paradoxical. Intent data is there to serve the individual, not to serve an spurious interest of a brand or a company in distance from the individual. So that conversation of the future of search is much more ethical when these interactions and this richness and this simplicity is fed, is the nutrients that facilitate it are made of this intent data. And also on the report, it reflects on the persistence of this data. Where is it going to be? Who owns this? Finally, it's the intelligence of the search is made of all this. So how in the future, from a data and a technological perspective, is intent data going to exist?
Yeah, as you have said, data is about serving the end user and anticipating their needs, but not serving the brand. So what we believe is that if we think on the future, we should move towards an explicit data collection instead of implicit, because now customers, they know that all brands are collecting data from them. They know it because they accept, but they don't know what they are sharing exactly, let's say. So we believe that in this communication, in this conversation, we have to ask the customer, hey, do you want to share with us something for us to have a better relationship with you? So that's doing that in an explicit way and helping the customer to say no, making things easier. And when talking about what are we doing or what are we going to do what are the brands going to do with those with that data, we think on let's say putting everyone in their role. And this means like having the customer as the owner of the information. This is the concept of decentralization that we are talking about now. And being the brand only, not the owner of the data, being the processor of that data, but not the owner. The owner should be the customer. And the data should be stored and should be managed and should be owned by the customer. No? So that's the future we are envisioning when thinking when talking about data, in order to build this trustworthy relationship. No?
This is very beautiful, and it's very powerful, and it's very fair, and of course very encouraging. So recapitulating, we talk about search experiences for the end user that are very conversational, but don't require me to type. They just are interactions and communication. You talk about profiling intent data to have this fundamental switch that the brand acts merely and relieves themselves from this important responsibility of control and act exclusively as processors. And then you said that the owners of the data are those who systematically create it, who are the individuals. And you talk about decentralization. Tell me a bit more about how architecturally in the future, what does that mean, decentralization? What kind of instrument can articulate that theory?
Well, now when thinking on data, we know that the brands are the ones owning all this information about what they call his users. Now, this information is owned by the brand all together. We believe under this concept of these personal pods where customers have their own data in their devices or this local storage information that it's only for them, not share with anyone. No, we believe that that the direction that this should take is moving from having the brands owning in those customer data platforms all that information together, moving from there to being the customer owning that information and storing it. No,
that's cool. And also on the richness of experience and the focus on people, you said and you developed the idea on how the future of search is going to look for the end customer. And you also said that there is a whole reality to portray on what it means for the merchandiser and the business user. What is the change in the future? Now, again, I'm a merchandiser, and so far what I've been expecting from search is to create strategies, to run campaigns, to understand what's happening with search, try to how things are changing for me as a merchandiser in the future of search.
Now we are thinking and we are talking about experiences, about how the customer interacts with the brand. So now it's about the future is about moving forward to control only these campaigns, this strategy in the search, but not only controlling that, but also controlling the experience, because we are talking about this experience for our customer. So we envision that the merchandiser should be able to control not only these campaigns and the sorting, but also the experience, how things are displayed, because that is what evokes the emotions that we are talking about. No, so we believe that in this application, through the merchandiser orchestrate the search, they would also orchestrate from there the experience, how things are displayed, how many items are we going to display to the customer. All that has to do with the emotion. And we believe that this is something important, and this has to be part also of this control that the merchandiser has in there.
Well, isn't it great that here we are talking about the things that we both believe?
Yes.
And we need people to challenge these things, right? So we encourage when we publish this video podcast, anybody to comment any alternative or open ideas. The more these ideas are challenged, the better. And nobody can do that certainly way better than us, than anybody looking at this video. I think this is a very insightful conversation. It will be much richer if we manage to get some feedback on this. And with that, I want to close with a personal question, Lara.
Tell me, Angel.
You moving to London, right?
Yes, next Monday.
So you're going against the current, because I think 700,000 people left London
Yes.
between Brexit and COVID.
Yes.
And you going there. That's beautiful.
Yes.
That's going fully against the current.
Yes. Yeah. Well, life is all about experiences again. So living abroad is another experience I want to live, to experiment.
Well, that's very good, and it
Yes.
tells a lot about your drive and the incredible work that you're doing here in empathy, and it's a true joy to partner with you, and it's fantastic. So great conversation, and thank you so much. And I insist again for anybody to send us any ideas or comments, and I'll leave it to you.
My pleasure, Angel. Happy to be here and looking forward the next one.
We'll do them in London.
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank
you so
you.
much, and thank you to Jaime, who is here helping us.
Yeah,
driving
behind the
everything.
scenes.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.